folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back. This is where I go back a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, tell you what I think about the games that came out then, or the reviews I did then, and what I think of them now. Although 10 years ago, I wasn't doing much in reviewing during this current month. So let's take a look at a year ago. First of all, we have Statecraft, a game about politics. I'm always a little worried about politics, but this is more of a hey, you have this political party, you're going to make different viewpoints on different things, maybe change your viewpoints on things like that a local city council might handle, things like that. Great idea, but too much randomness, and take that for me to enjoy it. Then we have Lab Wars, this game which is really too many mechanisms in such a small game, and they were never really fully explored. There was because the idea of, discovering things in your lab and writing research papers on it, that's a really great idea. I love the theming, but the opponents could play a card that would mess you over through no fault of your own, and there wasn't enough depth in the game. Shaboom! This is a game that comes with a pile of pieces, and you're using these pieces to throw dice or stack things. It's a game for kids that are going to like the amount of stuff in the box. Dozen Donuts is another game for kids in which they are, it's a memory style game in which you're trying to figure out which donuts are where as you move them around. So it's like memory, but with movement. Load. I probably would have liked Load more had it not been kind of a ripoff of Rum and Bones. Pretty interesting miniatures, but it's essentially the same game as Rum and Bones with a few changes, and those changes add a ton of randomness to the game. Then we have Tip Tap. This is a match shape style game, a speed style game, but it can be trickier, and there's different levels to make it even more difficult. Attack on Titan: The Last Stand. If you've ever seen this cartoon, it's pretty gruesome, where people in the future are fighting these giant titans that eat people. In this game, one person controls the titan, everyone else controls the people who are fighting him. Really cool theme. I did not expect the game to work, but it does, and it is a lot of fun. Very unique game. Frog Riders, a game I wasn't real keen on the first time I played it, but I played it more and more and enjoyed it. I think I like it with fewer players, as you are essentially jumping frogs around the board, removing frogs, trying to get different colors based on whatever rules that the game has. It's very light, very easy, but more depth than you might think. Arena for the Gods. This one here, Yellow tried to make this the next King of Tokyo, and it's not. I don't like it nearly as much as King of Tokyo. I do like it, it's fine. There's a bidding phase at the beginning of the game where you're getting your weapon and the way you're moving around. These give you kind of special abilities. You roll dice and do them. I worry that the auction at the beginning is just too confusing for new players, I think. But it's a fun game. Quest for El Dorado. This is a deck-building racing game from Rainer Knizia. It was nominated for Spiel des Jahres. With a moving board, trying to get the right things to move as efficiently as you possibly can. A pretty cool theme, and the game is good. Captain Silver, this is a speed feel game as you're trying to pull things from a bag without looking what they are, trying to match different symbols on the table. A lot of fun, but it's definitely a kid's game. Mythos Tales, this is like Consulting Detective Sherlock Holmes, except that it's Cthulhu. There are spelling errors and a few problems in the game, but other than that, it is pretty cool. It's kind of like going around as you work together as a group, trying to discover what's happening here, what's going over there, with this dark, foreboding sense in the background. Or actually, sometimes in the foreground. Cargolino Valentine. This is a kid's game that's gone up in my estimation because it just works so well. You each have these different snails. You roll dice. You can move the snail that is the color of the die you roll, or a snail that's on a flower that's the color of the die you roll. And that's it. The fact is, though, each person's secretly a snail, and you want your snail to be last. And that makes it really fun for kids. They really enjoyed it. Godfather, another game that's gone up for me. The Corleone's Empire from Eric Lang. This game I really think is underrated. Yes, it has an IP, but it's really fun. Despite whatever, it's a gangster game, and I like it. I like the idea of hiding things from other players. It's very vicious and mean, going after them. A lot of really cool aspects to this. And then finally, Viral came out a year ago from Arcane Wonders in the Dice Tower Essential line. I obviously like these games, which is why I put them in that line. But Viral, this area control game where you are viruses in a human body trying to control different regions without the scientists catching you and kicking you out, makes it a lot of fun. All right, so 5 years ago, I took a look at World War Z. Now, World War Z, I was actually pretty kind to this, considering they had the movie rights to this movie, but obviously not into the actors or characters in the movie. And it's a cooperative game that just comes down. It's really blah. It's really blah. And the production values and everything, just not worth it. Show Manager, which was a game that I thought I would like a lot, about putting on a Broadway show or a play or everything, but just came down to me to be there was too little game in the box. Then we have, let's see, next is Ark and Noah. This is essentially kind of a roll and move game, but my kids liked it so much that I gave it the rating I did. I don't think it's any game that's ever going to go off that great, but you're running around trying to collect animals to get them on the Ark. I don't know why my kids liked it. Ugg Tech. This game was hot 5 years ago. I haven't seen people play it as much now. Where you have these big rubber clubs and you hit somebody with them when they make a mistake. You are giving them, weird caveman instructions on how to build a tower together. It's probably funnier to watch than it is to play. Then we have Via Appia. This is a pretty interesting game because it has that whole put some discs on a platform and then you push those discs onto the platform and hope other discs fall off at the end. That's such a cool concept. The rest of the game is okay. It's a decent game, but that concept elevates it slightly. Then we have Augustus, which, since I reviewed it, has been renamed to Rise of Augustus. This is essentially a bingo-style game in which you are collecting, you basically have these different things in front of you, different tiles that you were trying to accomplish, and someone is going to be calling out different types. You're covering them up, and when you cover them all up, you get that tile. So you're just trying to get tiles that you think will finish more quickly. A lot of depth, actually, into this fairly simple game. I like it a lot. Let's see. Now we are at Star Trek Attack Wing. This was a direct copy. In fact, they licensed the system from X-Wing, from Fantasy Flight, and it's essentially the same thing, but with Star Trek ships. Not as good as X-Wing because it's just the X-Wings darting around didn't work as well for the Star Trek ships, but it was still a lot of fun, and it was neat to take some of these ships and go after each other with them. Get Bit. Melody and I 5 years ago took a look at the deluxe version of this game where there are people swimming in a circle. They look like robots, so we always call them robots. And there's a shark physically ripping off their legs and arms. It's not gruesome. They're like little robotic Lego type men. But it's funny as all get out until one person left. Silly, silly game. Then we have The Duke. The Duke, a great strategy game. Gets better all the time. It's like chess, but the moves that your pieces can make are printed right on them. And when you move, you then flip it over and it will have a different set of moves. And there's so much expandability to this game. I really like it. Dominion Guilds, I took a look at 5 years ago. This is an expansion for Dominion. I want to say it's the 8th expansion. It's one of my favorite expansions because it added money coins. Essentially, these were cards that gave you the little money tokens, and then you could save them and spend them on a future turn. So it was a small expansion, but I really like I like the idea of saving money for another time over the course of the game. And then finally, the last one is Legendary Dark City. This was the first expansion. The big box expansion for Legendary added a ton of artwork, added much more difficult masterminds for you to fight. It really made the game, the original game is good, I like it a lot, and this just really made it better. In fact, many people still consider this to be their favorite expansion. So those are the reviews I did 1 year and 5 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back on the Dice Tower.